And we're back in the room, Nick.
Hey, there we
For
go.
those of you, for those of you who don't know, I was just on with Nick on his channel, Claret and Booze. We just had a nice long chat. I hope it's a bit better now, actually.
Yeah, it's working now. I'd have to get you to host it next time.
Yeah, no, I think it was me, but I actually I restarted my laptop before I kind of came in.
Right, okay.
It seems to have worked out whatever bloody bug it was. So
Do you know it was a 5-second delay.
Was it?
5 seconds, yeah. Do you know it worked well though? Because like on this one we'll be going back and forth, but sort of taking turns. It kind of worked well. It was kind of right. You go. All right.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, it was all very way more civilized than usual. But obviously you didn't see the thumbnail for this one, but I basically call this the big rank off. So we're going to rank off our new players, Nick.
We're going to rank them off.
Going to rank them off.
Okay.
Might cheer them up a bit.
Yeah.
We'll see. Well, because obviously, we've had few games now. Is it 10 or 11? I can't remember it.
It's 11. Is it 11 games now?
11 plus 2 cup games.
Games,
yeah, I know. But we've seen quite a bit of them. Well, some of them at least. 9 signings to talk about. And we're going to speak about what we think of them up to this point, if anything.
Yeah.
Well,
this is going to be brutal.
I'm gonna start.
I'll tell you now.
With Guilherme, I think the first one in the door. 18 years old, Brazilian. Spent good money on him. But unfortunately, at the moment, Nick, not really any the wiser on Guilherme at the moment. I haven't really seen him.
No. I feel like he was brought in for another manager, personally. I know he weren't because Lopetegui was already in place, but I feel like he was identified before Lopetegui came in. Because don't forget, Tim was here for a year before Lopetegui came here, working towards, probably thinking he was going to be implementing this new vision. Like you said earlier on, he was envisaging getting Amorim in, and from what I've seen in glimpses of Guilherme, he looks sharp. He looks quick. He looks like he's been deserving of an awful lot more fucking minutes than what he's had when you consider it. But if you look at it combined with the manager that we've got, which is all important, he's never really. So say Lopetegui stayed here for the season, we wouldn't be seeing very much of fucking Guilherme. Therefore, 25 million was probably badly spent when you consider the rebuild that we had to do and the important positions that we had to fill. In that, I'm glad we've got him. He's a player that I don't want us to move on. For instance, I don't want us to move Guilherme on. I think there's going to be more to come from him, and I'm keen to see what another manager, the next manager, will get out of him. He could even start to shine towards the end of the year. But as it stands at the moment, in terms of his rank, how are we scoring this, Tom? 1 out of 10.
No, I'm not really kind of ranking it in the sense of out of 10. But I mean, you can feel free to, obviously. But you don't have to necessarily do that.
Come, let's think of a score. Let's design a scoring matrix before we go any further. So are we going to go 1 out of 10, or are we going to go good, bad?
If we go
or ugly, good, bad, or ugly.
10's probably too many. So if we go maybe like 1 to 5, where 1 is should never have signed this player for whatever reason. And 5 is brilliant signing. 3 is, he's done well. 2, he's not been great. 4, he's been good. Something like that. So where would you put Guilherme?
I'm putting Guilherme on a 3 because I think he was only signed. It's not his fault he's been signed. But I'm putting him on a 3 because he ain't like, I'm not looking at him like I'm looking at Guido, who looks like he ain't a fucking Premier League player. I'm not looking at Guilherme like that. I'm just looking at him, feeling sorry for him, thinking, mate, you ain't going to get played. Whereas Guido is shit week after week. And
can I ask you, actually, do you think if Guilherme was 22 and not 18 that he'd be playing more?
He'd be playing. He'd play him, yeah. Even though physically, if you look at Guilherme, he's a big lump. He's a big lad. He's 6 foot. He's quite well developed. He's a big 18-year-old. Do you know what I mean? I think he's physically ready. I would definitely. Oh fuck me! That shit we've been. You know, I just. There's no way he shouldn't have had more minutes. Some of them subs that we've made, Tommy, when we've been struggling, we've had no pace in the team. You've got a player there who's got fucking. He's fast. You know, just get him on the fucking pitch.
There was a game where Lopetegui played Bowen up front and put fucking Paqueta on the right.
I know.
Why would you not play fucking Guilherme in that game?
I don't know.
It's mind blowing. I mean, if Lopetegui is going to play Paqueta on the right wing, rather than give Guilherme a shot and say, right, lad, let's see what you've got.
Yeah.
I mean, what fucking chance have you got?
Hang on, Tommy. The only way to Essex has made a good point. Am I allowed to swear on the West Ham network? I won't say the C-bomb. I won't say the C-bomb. Yeah, I won't say the C-bomb. That's fine.
No, you as long as you don't call him a cunt.
No, I'm not kind of that. Like you said earlier on, that kind of fire in my belly's gone a little bit. Really, the C-bomb only really gets unveiled when I'm really angry. That's gone.
Yeah,
it's gone. I'm all see you next Tuesday. Is that now for me? Guilherme 3. What about yourself? What would you give him?
I think 3 is fair. I think 3 is fair because you can't say he's a waste of money because he's 18, he's highly talented, highly regarded, and it's not like it's not his fault he hasn't been given an opportunity to show what he can do or to improve. So we spent good money on him.
Yeah.
So he does have to, I think, at least prove to be a good player where we could at least hopefully get our money back for him, worst case scenario. But if he is, what a lot of people think he is, then it could in the long run look like incredibly well spent money. We just need a manager in who actually isn't afraid to play young, very gifted players.
What's really sad with Guilherme though, Tommy, is he's 18. Yeah, so if you look at Declan Rice when he came into the West Ham team, that period. The only reason Declan Rice is the Declan Rice that he is now, even though I don't think he's been that great this year, but the only reason he turned into this world class £100 million player was because he played regular football between the age of 17, 18, 19.
Yeah.
A manager that would stick with him for his mistakes and he would carry on playing.
And had to be allowed to make his mistakes.
Yeah, development years. Now, you've taken a player from Brazil, from his homeland, where he was playing. We weren't playing every game, but he was fucking playing a lot more than what he is now. And we've pulled him in, 18, in his most critical development years. He would have been better off loaning him back or loaning him to the Championship. If you're not going to use him, what the fuck? You don't buy an 18-year-old and then do nothing with them. That is bad. That's bad. That's really bad. He needs to be playing now. Somewhere he needs to be playing. He don't need to be sitting on a fucking bench. Not at 18 years old. Whether that it needs to be competitive football.
Yeah, and no one is suggesting he should be necessarily starting every week.
No.
Well, he should be getting minutes. Even in the cup games, he wasn't even in the squad in some of the games.
It's pathetic.
Ridiculous stuff. And I don't know why we keep stumbling on these managers. What happened to managers? I always thought one of the great joys for managers was taking young players and coaching them up and turning them into really great players. And, because I think that gave managers a sense of pride as well. Look how I took this kid, this raw, talented kid, and turned him into this cracking player.
But the issue you got now is internal club politics, where that's Tim Stuyton's player. So if Lopetegui brings him in and he does well, then Tim takes all the plaudits. I think you got a lot of that shit going on. I think you have. And this is just it's bollocks, really. Lopetegui is by title a coach. He's not a coach. He's a manager. He does what he fucking wants. Same as everyone else at the club does what they want. They'll just bring in Sullivan. I've got a manager that wants a wing back. are buying Wan-Bissaka. He's a great fullback. We're going to make him look shit. He's another one. We're going to make him look shit. Another player.
All right. Okay, let's do Wan-Bissaka then. You've mentioned him. I think I'll tell you what. I'm giving this. I'm really tempted to go 5 on this because I don't blame Wan-Bissaka. I'm going to go 5 on this. I think this was an absolutely fucking cracking signing. I really do.
For this manager?
No, for the club. Manager won't be.
But in that case, if we're talking like that, I'd give Guilherme a 4.
Yeah. Well, I didn't want to go more than 3 with him because I just haven't seen him play. I just don't know what we've got.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not willing to say, he's really good signing because I don't know yet. We
don't know enough about him.
He could prove to be a 5. But Wan-Bissaka has a large body of work. We know exactly what we've got in there. And while, as you say, Lopetegui has kind of thrown him under the bus tactically, I think what we signed for an incredibly low fee, for much less than he's worth. If we were to pay,
what did they sign him for? 50 million?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
it was about 50. Yeah, they bought him from Palace for.
Yeah. Certainly, I'd say at the very least in the Premier League, he's one of the very best defensive right backs. Absolutely brilliant defensively. You would feel comfortable putting him one-on-one with your opponent's best winger.
Oh, look. When you talk about his body of work, we do have. This is the only thing that bothers me with Wan-Bissaka, right? Because we've played the same system against everyone. He's been shit in a lot of games. Against Man United, he was super fucking human. I mean, superhuman. Some of the last-ditch tackles, some of the recovery runs, everything was bang on. I mean, like you're talking like there was like a world-class performance.
Yeah.
And then we saw what we saw against Everton. That's a red flag for me in terms of attitude, personally.
Granted, but I think he's just another one of the players that has absolutely no trust or faith in the manager, and this is what you get. And I think this is what you get. Really, really top class players can become completely shit, and I think the players, a lot of them are just completely defeated at this point, where they feel like this is going nowhere, and Lopetegui doesn't know what he's doing. And when players think a manager doesn't know what he's doing, and week after week, it's just terrible. Yeah. I think it's very, very hard to go out there with an attitude like, right, let's have it, boys. You know what I mean? Where you just feel like you're flogging a dead horse. It's hard to keep playing really, really well. I fully expect if whoever the next manager is that comes in does know what he's doing and gets this team set up properly, I think we'll see the real Aaron Wan-Bissaka. And I think he'll be a brilliant player for us. Just an absolutely top-class right back. Lots of experience.
Defensively, like you've just said, they're probably. I don't think there is anyone better defensively. No, he's. There have been certain question marks over certain things that he's done defensively. In many games against Spurs, he gets caught out of position. He seems to. He jockeys square on as well because he backs himself so much with pace. Normally, what a fullback will do is he'll show them onto a side. You show a player that's running at you onto a side. Normally, their weaker side. He doesn't seem to do that. He has a very square on stance, and what that does is that allows. It's almost like he's waiting for a player to run past him, so he allows a lot of space between him and the player that's attacking him. And we've seen so many occasions where people don't even try and go past him, but he allows so much space where they can either chop right or left, get a shot in, or get a cross in and get a pass in. For me, I've seen a 10 out of 10 player, and I've seen a 2 out of 10 player. So I'm going to give it a 4. I'm going to give it a 4. I think he's undoubtedly capable and is probably one of the best defensive right backs around. I've currently got question marks over his attitude in terms of his effort levels in certain games. For him to turn up like he did against Man United, which was fucking obscene. Like I said, a 10 out of 10 right back performance. He was everywhere. He was cutting everything out, but he had a point to prove against his old team. And then I'm not seeing that against every team that he's playing against. I'm not. And
maybe that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is when you see a motivated Aaron Wan-Bissaka, you see a completely different player.
Yeah. No. Look, I'm glad we've got him. Look, listen, if we play a manager, like you just said, that his fucking dickhead hasn't done that already, with all due respect, how he hasn't come to the conclusion, his job's on the line, not just his job, his entire managerial reputation. This fucks up. He ain't getting another job, and it's fucking up, right? How he hasn't come to the conclusion after just 5 games, gone, this ain't working. It ain't working, Julian. Look at yourself in the mirror. It's not working. Sort this out. All he's had to do at any point is go to a conventional formation where people do conventional roles. Play a fucking flat back 4. Play a right back as a right back. Play a left back as a left back. You know, play a CDM as a CDM, and then just play, you know, just play conventional positions. But you're seeing 1 minute, you're seeing Wan-Bissaka as a right back. Then he's gone. He's up the right wing. He's in the opposition box. Then he's over on the fucking left wing. He's in midfield. He's everywhere. Now, this confuses everyone because you think if you're Todibo, who is also having a bit of a fucking patchy season, well, he's the right-sided player. 1 minute, Wan-Bissaka's there. The next minute, he's not. And that doesn't matter whether it's Soufal or whoever it is. They're always exposed. The opposition teams always expose that side every single fucking time. Lopetegui never learns. Mate, I'm just so confused by everything this man does. And this is where I feel sorry for him, but not because he's been hard done by, even though he hasn't been given the perfect squad for him. He's still got good enough players, Tom. He's still got good enough players to do better than what he's doing. This is shit, you know, and for that, he's got himself to blame through being stubborn. He's been stubborn, and he's going to shoot him in the foot. It really is.
Fucking hope he never gets a job with a bed squad.
Oh, fuck yeah. Could you imagine? Poor bastard. He's got Kudus, he's got Paqueta, he's got Bowen. I mean, yeah, he got Alvarez, he's got Kilman, got Todibo, Wan-Bissaka. What a poor fucker. Yeah.
Okay, let's switch sides. Somerville. So, Somerville, I actually really liked that signing. Obviously, it was one of the key positions we needed to fill in the summer with Ben Rama gone and Moyes' favourite left winger Fornals gone as well. And it was important we got that one right. Key position for us, position that had been a problem for a while. I was very happy with Somerville. I'd seen a bit of him last season, absolutely electric in the Championship. I know that doesn't always translate into the Premier League, but I wasn't too worried about that because he had actually, in their relegation season in the Premier League, he was there and he actually had a very solid season for them in the Premier League. He looked like he could cut it at that level, especially with better players around him. Sadly, again, for some reason, the manager just fucking around, not giving him the minutes when he should have, not starting him, not bringing him off the bench often. He'd rather switch someone else across to the left who's already on the pitch, rather than bring him on. Got booed for taking him off in a game in which he did start him, where he was only one of 2 players who was actually doing a bit. Him and Kudus. I can't remember the game. Remember, it was him and Kudus were the only 2 players that were actually looked a bit lively and were trying to make things happen and looked positive, and he takes him off. He's really fucked up on this one, Lopetegui, because I think we do have a player there. I know I'm not saying for a second Somerville is a world beater, but I think he is clearly the best left-sided player, attacking player we've got.
Harry hasn't started, Tommy.
How he hasn't started pretty much the entire season on that left-hand side, I will never understand. He is by far our best option out there. He's very lively, and I think he's one of those players.
Do you know, Tommy, sorry to cut you off. When all the other players are back and fit and available, he's the one that gets dropped. Just so you know.
Yeah,
when Caboose
it's
and Paqueta and
ridiculous.
Bowen and everyone else is available, he's getting
Yeah,
dropped.
yeah, and I always felt like he was that player where he's so positive,
Yeah.
and he loves to run at people. I felt like, he would just keep improving as the season went on. He would just get better and better, with more and more games, especially as there's a lot of new teammates there, etc.
Yeah.
He's making that jump up again from Championship to Premier League. I just felt like, probably particularly second half of the season, Somerville would probably really have a really strong second half of the season. I actually think he's a very good signing. I think
he weren't a bargain though. 35 million's expensive.
we paid well for him, yeah, but I suspect over the course of the seasons that he would be with us,
yeah,
by the end of it, we would feel like we got our money's worth from him.
So
I think
what would you give him out of 5?
I think 3 at the moment.
Yeah, that's where I am.
Because I think it's a good signing.
Yeah.
In a key position. Had he been playing since the start of the season, it might be a 4 because he could be lighting it up at this point.
I just feel like with outfield, well, with the type of player that he is, bearing in mind he hasn't had an abundance of minutes to do that, but I think there isn't much output in at this level. I know fucking loads in the championships, goals and assists, but at this level, I've not seen much. I know he scored the other day, but
I think it. Granted, I mean, like I said, I think he would have just grown into the season, but it's very difficult to grow into a season where you come off the bench and you do really well,
yeah,
and then you don't start the next game and you come on for 15 minutes and you're getting kind of bit parts here and there. It's hard to,
Actually, Tommy, I'm going to mark him up. I'm going to go from a 3 to a 4, and I'll tell you why. And that is because when we signed him, there was an awful lot of Leeds fans that were saying absolutely, and Leeds fans absolutely adored him, loved him. Normally, because he was their best player. Normally, when you see someone lose their best player, the team are full of vitriol, but they weren't. He stuck with them when they went down, gave his all, brilliant player of the year, fantastic. They were, full of praise for him, but a lot of them did say he don't track back, which was a bit of a concern for me because I don't know too much about him. But fuck me, that block where he came back the other day, this was one of the the one where he came back, and this is one with Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka's jogging back. Somerville over fucking takes him. Straight through the middle, fucking slides through, makes that fucking block. So for me, work ethic, attitude, bang on, because he deserves far more minutes than what he's been given. He does, especially in our current state, deserves far more minutes. And whenever he comes on, he's positive, he's direct, he does try to do the right things. So in that sense, when you look at the money that was spent on Fullkrug, which we'll talk about after, 27 million, 35 million for a young bloke like him.
Was he that much?
He was 35, yeah.
Wow.
But it does look like I feel like he's only going to get better. He's not going to get worse. I did have concerns about his stature. When I saw him live, Tommy, he looked like he was wearing his big brother's kit. He's small, like really small. But I thought that would work against him. I have seen him bodied a few times, against, I think Everton bullied him.
He was up against centre backs, though. I mean, that was ridiculous.
But they did bully him. Like they really did. They ragdolled him. So I have seen that. But at the same time, in other games where he's coming up against sort of competent defenders, he almost seems to use his diminutive stature as to his advantage. Because he's quite strong. He's quite strong. He's got a low centre of gravity. And he wins a lot of fucking fouls. That's one thing I'll say. He does win a lot of fouls.
I mean, he needs to be.
I'm going to upgrade him. I'm upgrading him to a 4. I'm going to go 4.
Yeah, I think it's a really good signing, and I think under a competent manager, I think we'd see really good things out on the left. Because remember, it's not just him; it's also the players around him. If a new manager comes in and he's got the team set up properly, and the players around Somerville are playing really well, then he looks like a different player as well because he's got more help. You know what I mean?
Tommy, just once, I would love to see Somerville on the left, Bowen on the right, Kudus in the 10. I would just love that. With Antonio up front, just causing fucking problems, mayhem, just bullying. He ain't got to score. He ain't. The one thing that Antonio does, which a lot of people say, what does he? He don't do a lot. But if you've got Somerville, Bowen, and Kudus behind Antonio, all you want Antonio to do is just bounce defenders over, drag them away. That could work brilliantly. Just once, just do it. Yeah. This is a thing. Why is Lopetegui doing this to himself? It's like a self-flagellation.
Yeah, it is.
It doesn't make sense.
It is astonishing. Yeah,
I know.
Okay, I'm going to go. I'll be very interested to hear what you think of this one.
Go on.
Rodriguez. I'm not sure where to go with this one. I'm a little confused with the Rodriguez thing. So I know you've spoken, said he's not a Premier League player. I
think he's been made to look like he's not a Premier League player, but so Alvarez don't look like a Premier League player now.
Yeah. So I'm not sure where to go with this. I mean, I also have to take into account he was a free transfer, so it's not like we shelled out a load of money for him. So he was a free transfer. His wages are not exorbitant. He has not played well, generally speaking, with a couple of exceptions, maybe in games where he's played all right, where he's played well enough. But I'm not sure because, he was pretty highly regarded in Spain as a really good player.
He's a good player.
So I'm not sure. So I don't doubt that he's got talent. I don't, because he's shown it. He's shown his talent in La Liga, which is not a mugs league. If you can show yourself to be a really good player.
He's been systematically dismantled by the man that brought him in. He should have been no more than a backup to Alvarez. We should not be playing this stupid fucking double pivot CDM thing. You don't never need to do that unless you're playing against maybe one or two teams in the fucking league. We should not be playing with two CDMs. It confuses things as well because anyone who's played football or whatever else, especially with CDMs, a CDM is somebody, they're almost like an advanced sweeper. They sit in front of that back line and they know the area that they're covering. They do. You play two in those areas, they confuse each other because they've got zones. That's your player. That's your player. One of them's going forward. All of a sudden, you've got to shift over. It complicates fucking everything. This is why Alvarez hasn't shone. The whole midfield is non-functional, and also that stupid press, which means that all of a sudden 5 players are out of the game, and you've got 3 fast players running at fucking Alvarez and Guido. It's stupid the way that we're playing. So
again, he's one of those players. Guido. I just wonder. If he, again, with a competent manager who had the team set up properly, if Alvarez wasn't available, I just wonder if Rodriguez was that player you just said, where he just sits in front of the back 4 centrally.
That's all he needs to do. And he's got a good range of passing. You play that player like we were playing Alvarez last year. You play him in that position, in that system. Do you know what? He should have been a 5 out of 5 signing. He was a free transfer. He should have been a 5 out of 5 signing because he's basically almost, I know they're not exactly the same, but almost a carbon copy of Alvarez. Not quite as good, but he's free. Should be fine. But even Alvarez, who we know is a top-class player, is looking shit in this system. The midfield is non-functional. The team is non-functional. I feel most sorry out of everyone in this team for the midfielders. Like I said to you in the last show, I don't think Alvarez has fully recovered from what Lopetegui did to him against Chelsea. I don't think he has. These players have got personal pride. They've got personal pride. He got absolutely, he got embarrassed.
Dry, wasn't he?
He got embarrassed in that game, and his manager did that to him. That was by design. The way that they did that, fucking him. Oh, I mean, how that could have ever been a fucking good idea in anywhere. That when you consider that all of these managers now, they've got all these fucking teams of analysts who are supposed to sort of look at the opposition and come up. Mate, that was literally, we've been playing in a way that gifts the opposition. it's almost like we're analysing data and saying, how can we set up best to give the opposition, to make them look the best that they can look? Because that's what we've been doing. So Guido has been a 1 out of 5 signing. He has been. He's been a 1 out of 5 signing, but he should have been a 5 out of 5. I think he's finished at West Ham now. Like Alvarez, I feel like his starts of the Premier League has been absolutely awful. He's got no pace. That ain't his fucking fault. He's never had pace, but he's always been a good player. A lot of CDMs, they don't need it. They're positionally aware. They know where they need to be. But not if you've got so much ground to cover. Not if you've got, they physically can't do it. And he's tracking back covering fullbacks. Fucking Rodriguez tracking back covering fullback areas. He's been dragged out of position. He can't then get back. He's just been made to look shit. And I feel sorry for him. He ain't a bad player. He's a good player. And I don't even think it's a Premier League. I think it's just this dickhead that we've got managing the team.
Yeah,
let's
of
have
course,
it straight.
The irony of all this is that Lopetegui really wanted him.
He signed him. It was a signing.
That's a Lopetegui signing. He wanted Tim to go get him. Tim went and got him. And then he's playing him in a way that he just can't play. It's just not suited to. So I do feel bad for him. And, we can't. I don't think we can play him now because he's checked out.
No, they've gone. I mean, but so many of these players have. I mean, I think, like I said to you, the geezer's willing to drop. This is a bloke who's 30. This was his big payday. This is his retirement move, if you like. And he's that unhappy after 5 months. He's gone, fuck that. I'll take half the money. I want to go back to Betis. I mean, that is actually disgraceful. That's worse than Fullkrug. That's literally, and this is a player that's been played as well. And he has tried. He's a professional. But like I said, we're all taking a piss out of him for being slow. This wanker that we've got managing the team is playing him in a position which exposes him week after week after week. It's like cruelty what he's doing. He's destroyed the poor bloke.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm going to give him a 2 because of all of the mitigating factors.
Yeah.
Although one should never have signed him, and that probably is the case, given everything that's happened. But given that he was a free transfer, that I do think there's a player there. And as with all the players, I think not really entirely Guido's fault here. He probably fucking cries himself to sleep because of Lopetegui already. 11 games in.
I'll cry myself to sleep because of Lopetegui.
I know, yeah. So I'll go 2 because, like I say, mitigating factors, plus he was free. And I think, again, under new manager comes in, could turn his head and say, look, I know it hasn't been fun up to now, but, we'll get you playing right. And
I'm gonna stick with 1 because he's been given every minute more or less, that Lopetegui could have given him.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
He's been shit. And he's also literally come out and given us the biggest diss ever, which is he's been here. I want to go. I want to take half the money and go back to where I just come from. It's the biggest diss ever. It's embarrassing. No, 1. Yeah. That's a 1 out of 5 for me.
Fair enough. We'll go 1 on Rodriguez. Okay, next up, we'll go with another man. I think that clearly is a Lopetegui signing, who I still think we overpaid for, and that's Max Kilman.
Yeah, I've not been as impressed with him as what a lot of people have.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think he's been solid, but no more than that. I mean, I think Forest paid about 12 million for Milenkovic. I think Milenkovic has been better.
There's your marker. There's your marker. Milenkovic was the best defender on the pitch. What the fuck is that? Got feathers all over me. But yeah, no, I think Milenkovic was the best defender on the pitch when we played at Nottingham Forest. 12 million. So no.
Ironically, a player that we were linked with for a long time.
I know.
And then when we can get him for 12 million, we don't even try. It's just bizarre. But that's the way we work at West Ham now. Everyone gets a player.
I know.
The tea lady probably chose Fullkrug. You know what I mean? Like, fucking who knows who's picking these players?
I mean, like that said, we'll get onto Todibo as well, obviously. But I do think that these 2 players, I do think that they're suffering because of this system as well. I do think Kilman's a good, solid defender.
Yeah.
And I do think that Todibo is a very talented player as well. Once it's settled, we should be looking at our centre-back partnership for the next 6 years there. We should be.
We should, yeah. I mean, I do think we overpaid for Kilman. Probably only because I think Wolves knew Lopetegui wanted him and wanted him bad.
Yeah.
And that we were probably going to be willing to overpay for him. I think he has been a good side. I think he's been solid. To be fair,
I'm going to go 4 for Kilman.
Yeah, I think 4 is fair. I think he has been one of our better signings this summer. Very solid. Looks a very dependable centre back. And again, I think in a better system would probably be even better. Some of the times, his ability to drive out with the ball and pick out a pass is unbelievable.
They're both good players. So Todibo and Kilman, they're great footballers. Like, they're more capable than defenders that we've had before. But mate, they ain't as good at defenders as what we've had before. Like
Oggy and Reed, I think.
Oh, and Dawson and I'm talking about defending.
Yeah,
they're not the best defenders that I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Kilman's not great with people running at him. He don't like it. Todibo's better with a one-on-one situation, but Kilman not so much.
Yeah, I think Kilman is your typical old style English centre back.
Yeah.
But he has been playing well. I think he'll prove in the long run to be a good signing. I think he'll do really well for us. Like I said, both centre backs don't need to be the same player. So
he's one of the successes of the window.
I think absolutely. I think 4 is fair for Kilman. He's been very solid, despite the fact that we concede a lot of goals. I mean, it's not really on Kilman, in my opinion, that we've conceded so many.
I don't really. I mean, I know I spent a long time going on a mad tirade about the application of the players, because I'm a big defender of the players, and I do, especially when they're set up poorly, like so many of them, our previous managers have done. That don't get the best out of the players, but particularly this one. I mean, fuck me. The one thing I can't tolerate is lack of effort, and I've not seen that from Kilman. He's always giving 100%. He seems like he's always switched on. I like him. He's a good player. He's not a £30 million player or whatever we paid for him. But
I think 40.
Was it 40? Fucking hell. 40 million. Yes, it's a lot of money. That's a lot of dough. So he's not, but he's good. I'm happy we've got him, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm trying my best to alternate kind of between the kind of good and bad. So that's why I went from Guido to Kilman.
Yeah.
So we're going to go the other way now. And I'm going to leave the coup de grace till last. Don't worry. So Carlos Soler.
1.
Yeah, it's an immediate 1.
1. Shit.
So I've got no idea why we... See, this is the fucking baffling thing to me, and it drives me fucking nuts. We've sent an incredibly talented youngster who last season, with very little game time towards the end of the season, showed us, I think, fucking hell, we've got a player here. This guy looks really exciting, and that's George Earthy. I just don't understand it. Why send a player like George Earthy out on loan and then bring in someone like Carlos Soler and give him the minutes that Earthy should be getting to develop?
A player like Earthy, because I think Potts is the more ready player out of the two of them. But Earthy had momentum. We had this chat actually on our platform before me and you went live. He had momentum from the end of the previous season. Why would you not fucking build on that? He was even being built up when Lopetegui came in. Do you remember the video where Noble introduced Earthy? Yeah. I mean, you just think, fuck me. And this is what we're saying. Just give us something. And there is no way on earth. Like, I know. There's people in the chat that will disagree with me. Well, I'll disagree with you. We're seeing fuck all from these players that are in there at the moment. They're sulking. Oh, manager's playing me out of position. This ain't where I want to be, because it's all about me. Because these players are not fucking West Ham people. if you was to bring in these youth players, if you was to have played from the fucking start of this season, Potts, Earthy, Alford, in the middle, right? Now, I'm not saying that I would have done that at the start of the season. I would have rather us gone out and got Fofana and gone and got this player and gone out and got that player and had us push on for the top fucking 6.
Yeah,
but
when you look at understudies.
Yeah, but when you look at it in a cold light of fucking day of what we've seen this season, if we'd have just played those 3 in midfield from the start of the season, we would not have been any worse off. Because our midfield has been shit.
Yeah.
Like dog shit.
I mean, yeah, because I'm just thinking, if Potts, like in an ideal world, Potts should be understudy to Alvarez, right? So if Alvarez gets himself 2 yellows, he's suspended for the next game, you chuck Potts in there.
Yeah.
The minutes that Soler has had, Earthy should have those minutes. You bring him off the bench. You know what I mean? Bring him on at half time in a game where it's going against us. See, all right, George, let's go see what you can do, son. I just don't understand it.
No, Damien saying if we played with those 3 midfielders, we'd get smashed every game. I don't know what these people... honestly, what have you been watching?
As opposed to what?
We've been getting fucking smashed every game. We've had no midfield. What I'm saying is, I've just caveated it. At the start of the season, I wouldn't have done that. I'd have gone out and I'd have bought Fofana. I'd have bought this player. I'd have put a midfield together that was capable of building on what we've done before and pushing for the top 6. But this midfield is it's worse than what we had last year. And I'll tell you what, I'm glad Prowse is gone. Prowse is better than what we've got now. We've gone backwards. Flynn Downs would have been 10 times better in our midfield than any of these fuckers that we've currently got in there. Flynn Downs would have been. We've gone backwards. A player that couldn't even get in our fucking team. I just, honestly, it's shit. And this is what I'm saying to you. Earthy, Potts, and Alford, I don't care what any of you fuckers say, would not have been worse than what we've seen this year. No, they wouldn't have. They wouldn't. They wouldn't have.
No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't. I agree. But I also agree, look, I wouldn't just put them all in, start them every game or anything like that. But I think they should be. We should have certain youth players. They're very talented youngsters. I mean, what ultimately, I'll give you another one. What ultimately was the point of keeping Cresswell here for another year, who's not going to see too many minutes, when we've got Ollie Scarles, a really, really good youngster who could be understudy to Emerson. No. Emerson's going to play most of the games this season, but the games where Cresswell is going to start, come on.
There is only one reason, and that is what I had this debate with John. I didn't want Cresswell to stay. He's right, and it goes back to the video that he done the other day. Cresswell I know he's a Scouser, but he's been here a long time now. He's a West Ham man. He knows what it is to be West Ham. He knows us. Keeping certain, I think sometimes you do need to keep some players in the squad that have half a fucking idea what West Ham are all about. I do think Cresswell is one of them, but I don't think we've got enough. But I do think that's why Cresswell was kept behind. I think Cresswell was kept here so that we had some. I think he's good with the players, and I do think that's why he was kept behind.
That's fine. You don't have to send him on his way, but you can still have him around the club. But I think Scarles should be second choice now at this point.
Should be now.
Yeah, and as I said, we got some cracking youngsters, but the Soler one again.
Shit.
Yeah, it's a 1 for obvious reasons. I don't think anyone would deny that. But again, he's one of those players where I don't know what he is really.
I think he knows what he is. He gets yellow. Everyone has to go at fucking Alvarez and Paqueta for getting yellow cards. This geezer's played about 30 minutes and got 4 yellow cards. He's rubbish.
Spends most of his time bitching at the ref.
Oh no, he's shit. I'm sorry. Yeah. He is. It's like if you order fucking Pablo Fornals off a Wish, you get Soler.
He's on a 2-year loan.
Mate, we sold Pablo Fornals for 7 million. This loan deal, 7 million. Basically, we sold Pablo Fornals. Look, don't get me wrong. I'm glad Pablo's gone. I'm not, because I love him.
For his sake.
But I'm happy for him, because I love Pablo.
Yeah.
Pablo's happy. You watch the clips of him at the moment. He got man of the match at the weekend. He's smiling. He's happy. I'm happy for Pablo. But fuck
I am too. I love him.
But yeah, it's all gone wrong. Yeah, no. 1 out of 10. Soler, just send him back. I'd send him back. Just cut the loan off. He's got lovely hair. He's got good hair, and his missus is fucking stunning. I will say that. Yeah, she is.
Haven't seen her. Okay, so Todibo. So it'll be interesting to hear what you think on Todibo. I'll tell you what, when we signed him, I thought, fucking hell, we've done unbelievable business getting him in. For a long time, it was, would he, wouldn't he, could we get him, could we not? Juve were sniffing around. Juve were desperate to sign him.
Properly.
Man United were desperate to sign him, but they couldn't sign him. They weren't allowed to sign him because it went against Premier League rules.
Have you read his scout reports?
I haven't read them, but I've heard about them.
Right.
I think I've heard them from you.
Before we signed him, because I came out before we signed him, and I said, we've got no chance of getting this guy. We've got no chance. It's literally like one. These are reputable fucking scouts, proper scouts. And you look at them versus I did parallels with other players they've done scouting reports against. One of the most talented fucking players in European football, right? And when we signed him, I was just like, that is a massive fucking statement. He's so highly regarded, like a top player. And we're making him look shit.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
I don't know how.
It's just astonishing. I mean,
honestly.
And it took him fucking ages to even play him.
I know.
If you're a manager and he turns up in the training ground or you're taking the photos with him, after he's signed, the handshake and all that, you should be thinking, fucking can't wait to get this guy in the team. Fucking Todibo, just unbelievable talent. And it started off, wasn't even playing him. Took him a while to put him in there. It seems like he's hopefully now established as the partner for Kilman. But again, I think Lopetegui's just midlife incredibly difficult for Todibo. He's already in a new country, different league. Needs a few games. Get up to speed.
He's a player, right? He's a proper footballer. And in his previous life, where he's played before, he's done a lot in central midfield, central defensive midfield. Very capable in that position as well. He's good. He's good in the ball. He carries the ball. He's very calm. He's got a lot of, for me, a lot of the Rio Ferdinand vibes about him. Really calm on the ball, really relaxed. But players like this, I do think that Todibo needs to be in a good team. I'll say that. I think Todibo needs to be in a good team that are settled, that are maybe, in the ascendancy, that know what they're fucking doing. He's not a firefighter. He ain't. Yeah. He's not a firefighting player. He's. I don't say that he is one of those players, like I've said about Wan-Bissaka, who that I'm really fucked off with him. I've never seen that from Todibo. Todibo, he's relaxed, but that's just his style. He always looks like he tries. He does look sometimes like he like I said to you, with Kilman and Todibo, I don't think they're the best. Maybe you could say defenders in the old-fashioned sense, but they've got so much more to their game. They've got so much more. They've both got the ability, Kilman and Todibo, to carry the ball out of defence and get a fucking, drive you up the pitch. They can do that. They can pick a pass. Todibo's got a lot of pace as well. He's got a lot of pace. He's got a lot of recovery pace. No, for me, I'm going to say that, going against all the rules here, Tom, I'm saying he's been a 2, but I'm not giving him a 2 because I've got that much faith in him, right? And I think he's going to be the best defender that we've had in 10 years against everyone who's commenting in the comments there. I reckon this time next year, we're going to be saying that Todibo is the best defender we've had at the club in about the last 10 years under a different manager. That's what I believe. I do rate him. I rate him highly. I just think, obviously, they've got to get this next appointment right, of course. Yeah. But if we do, he will, in a functional team that's playing well, Todibo is a fucking star. I'm certain he's a star. I know he is.
Yeah, I agree.
Giving him a 4.
Yeah, I was tempted to go 5 because I think he's that good. But I think it's probably too soon to do that. I think 4 is right. because this is not a player ratings in the sense of match ratings like you do in your show, where you do all the player ratings after a game. This is not what we're doing here. This is the player. And I think we've got an absolutely brilliant player in
world-class player. We've got a world-class defender there.
Yeah, I think it was an absolute coup for us to sign him. Just unbelievable business. And I think, like you, in the long run, I think he's going to prove to be
I'll tell you who's really shit. I'm just going to annoy Damien D'Amico. You know who's really shit? One of the biggest players from the summer, from the international tournament, and he's come over here and he is fucking wank. The best Italian centre back, Calafiori for Arsenal. Yeah. He is on toast for whoever goes up against him. They literally have you watched Arsenal this year?
A bit, yeah.
Mate, whenever he is shit, like shit. I know he's not one of the best Italian centre backs, but Calafiori, Damien, your centre back, he is fucking shit. Honestly, he is. That's me fighting with Damien. Calafiori's wank. He couldn't lace Todibo's boots. I'm telling you that much. He couldn't. Right, go on. Sorry, Tommy.
Yeah, no, I'm going to give him a 4 as well. So I think he's going to be, in the long run, I think he's going to prove to be an unbelievable signing. I think Damien's jumping the gun saying he's shit and all that, but I think the best is yet to come.
Absolutely.
How many have we done? Have we got one more left? I was going to.
So we've done Todibo, we've done Kilman, we've done Wan-Bissaka, we've done Guido, we've done Guido, we've done Soler,
Somerville,
Guilherme, Somerville. There's only one left.
Yes, that's the one. I wanted to make sure because.
Do you want to do Wes Foderingham before we go any further?
I think we should. I think we should.
5 out of 5. 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I think he's
no,
I'm giving him. I'll give him a 2. It's all right. He was only. We knew we were never really going to see him. The first time he was basically just training ground goalkeeper, third choice, emergency goalkeeper. Really, just going to be the training ground goalkeeper. Just replacing Martin, really, in that role. So. Yeah, it's fine. It's a 2. Nothing wrong with it. Not a great keeper, but good enough for what we need.
We don't know. We don't know. Thing is, I don't think he's a bad keeper. From I've seen some performances of him because he was Sheffield United, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was good. He was good. So we're never going to see him. We're never going to see him. We've bought him to sit on the bench. We've bought him for the homegrown quota. That's what we've done. Yeah. That's what we've done. So not bought him, signed him.
Yeah, he's the training ground keeper. And third choice, third string. Barring an emergency, we won't see him. So I'm
going to give him a 3. I'm going to give him a 3. I will.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
He ain't embarrassed us.
Yeah. All right. I guess time for the fun part.
Yeah. Fuck rug.
Fuck rug. Absolute. I should have said you can have 0 as well if you want, because 1 seems too high. Absolute fucking disaster of a signing. I honestly this is
the worst on record. Worst on record.
I think this at the moment this has the potential to be up there with
the worst.
The worst with Roberto.
The worst.
The only thing I think the only reason it probably won't be as bad as Roberto is that Roberto actually played and was completely horrific. I don't suspect if and when Fullkrug plays he'll ever be horrific, but we're not sure if he's ever actually kicked the ball for us.
From what I understand, our medical team don't think there's anything wrong with him, but he's still like, yeah, it's hurty, and he's dead. He's going back to Germany. He's having some injections into it and whatever else. But our medical team is saying there's nothing fucking wrong with you, mate. Your foot's all right. He's been scanned everywhere. There's no inflammation. They can't see anything. They're saying that he's fine, but he's saying that he's still hurting. I'm going to say, I'm going to say, for me, so far, right, I don't think even if, listen, I said this when we signed him for 27 million, right, 30, even if he'd have scored 20 goals a season, there's no return on that. He's getting older. He's only going to get shitter. That's what's going to happen now. I think he's 32 now. I think he's already 32. He's only played 30 minutes for us. Was he older than that? I can't remember. Was he 31 when we signed him?
Yeah,
he was, wasn't he? Yeah, he's 30. So he's 32 now. This is bad. This is the most embarrassing, disgraceful, and this is something that I can't defend Tim against. No. It's bollocks. You know, you listen to any. Because if we sell him back to Germany, but there will absolutely be takers for him because he's a functional striker in the Bundesliga, right? So we ain't getting 27 million. You're looking at 10 million, 15 million max. He's 31. That was bollocks what we've done, or he's 32 now. It was bollocks. I said it when we signed him. He's a fucking cartels. He's been playing in a slower league where he's quite a big bloke and he's used to sort of wrestling defenders in the Bundesliga. Mate, every defender in the Premier League, they're like fucking, they can run the 100 metres in fucking 10 seconds, apart from our ones. And they're 6'4" and massive. Good luck ragdolling them. He ain't bullying any defenders in this division. He ain't doing it. So he's literally out of his depth. He ain't got an Achilles problem. He's got an arsehole problem. He's come into this more so than Guido. I'm not going to say this about Guido because Guido's tried. I do feel like Fullkrug as he's got a shitty bum. I think he's got a shitty bum. He's come over here. He's realised he's out of his depth, and he's like, I want to go back. You know, it ain't got nothing to do with Hornchurch where his house is. That's lovely. He loves it. He loves it out there. It's nice in Essex. You know, he ain't homesick. He's Bundesliga sick because he knows that he's not made for this division, and that is a thing. However, there is a caveat to this. I do know that there is a good chance that I could be made to look stupid because if another manager does come in and plays in a system that does give a striker service, which is something that Antonio's never had, right? We all complain he's only scored 1 goal in 8 games. Tell me the last time he had a fucking cross put on his head. I think we can. And he hit the crossbar. Do you remember? That was this season. Don't happen very often. He doesn't get service. That was when Guido scored. He doesn't get service. Our strikers don't get service. There is a possibility that another manager could come in, put Fullkrug up front, playing a system that supplies a striker like Chris Wood for Nottingham Forest, and all of a sudden he could be banging in 10, 15, 20 goals. It could happen. It's unlikely. But from what I've seen of him, he ain't shit. He's not a shit player. He can't be shit. He's a top player, but he definitely ain't. When you consider his game, he's all about being big and strong. He ain't Antonio. He's not like a freak of nature like Antonio is, who can literally he's got this explosive power that can ragdoll defenders. I don't think he's got that. I think he's like do you know what he is? He's like your run-of-the-mill championship striker. He's Jordan Hugill.
Yeah.
That's what he is.
Yeah.
He's Jordan Hugill.
Yeah, except he's the German Hugill who cost us 3 Hugills.
Yeah, no. And Hugill shouldn't have cost the Hugill. Hugill shouldn't have cost the Hugill. That was ridiculous. Yeah. 12 million for Hugill, you know? That was a lot.
It's just astonishing to me that we've paid 3 Hugills for this guy.
I know.
I don't know if you remember that a few years ago. That was actual West Ham money. That was, you know. We paid. I can't believe we fucking paid 2 Hugills for this guy.
Yeah. Everyone forgets that, you know. Yeah. I mean, that was one of the worst ones. But this is bad, and it's
but the Hugill one was dodgy. The Hugill one was dodgy
because it was Preston. That was Moyes. That was
Moyes. Was it Moyes' son?
They all do it. Yeah, but to be fair, I do think all the managers do all that shit. But this one, what's made this one worse? And I will never recover from it because I've been the biggest advocate of Duran, and I was fighting everyone on the channel. When honestly, I was pushing him, and I had people coming out, and there's probably a lot of you in this chat now. You know where you are. They was coming out saying, "No, Fullkrug, he's much better player. He's proven. He's his Germany number 9." I'm like, no, he's shit. He's a cartels. Fucking Duran's the future, and I was fighting with everyone. And now, honestly, to go from Duran, Tommy, this is because there's two things here.
I know Meridian.
To go from Duran to this player is mad because age, profile, type of player. How does that even happen? And this is where I think sometimes you've got to sort of look at how can there not have been a backup to Duran? Because he ain't the only player like that in terms of 6 foot whatever he is, rapid goal scorer. There must have been someone else that we had fucking backup. If Duran don't go off, we're going to go for this player.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's like if you want to go buy a sports car and you go down to dealership, say you head down to fucking Porsche, right? And you try to buy this really shiny new Porsche that you would absolutely love to get. And you try to buy it and you just can't make the finance work. Finance company won't quite give you the loan. And you tried your best. You're like, fuck it, I really wanted that Porsche.
You phone up your mum and say, Mum, can you be a guarantor for me?
Yeah, and then you say, Mum, I just couldn't quite make the finance work for the Porsche. So I just popped down to Skoda instead and bought a nice Superb. You know what I mean?
I've got a Kia We've got a Kia Sportage. That's what we've got.
Yeah. It's like, so I just bought a Sportage instead. It'll do. She'd be like, you did what? I said, you could have still got yourself a really nice car. It's just you could have bought a 7 Series Beamer. You know what I mean? It's like, what'd you get a fucking Kia?
Yeah, but not just that. Not just that, right? You've bought the Sportage, which the market value is around about 10 grand. But what you've done is you've gone to some random place and you've ended up paying about 30 grand for it, for a 10 grand car. That's what you've done.
Yeah. And then it's fucking broke down and I'm driving out the showroom.
I know.
And you bring it to a mechanic and he's like, can't fucking figure it out, mate. Don't know what's wrong with it. So you've got it parked up in the driveway and you can't even drive the fucking thing. It's just crazy.
Honestly, I will say, for me, as much as I've been a big advocate of Tim, I put him on a big pedestal, and I was very much, Tim this and Tim that. There's undoubtedly that's Tim signing. Undoubtedly that's Tim signing. That for me is, mate. If I was his boss, I'd sack him for that alone. I actually would. I would be that angry with that deal. The fact that we didn't get Duran done. And you've gone and you brought this geezer in, and it's gone the way that it's gone. Because Sullivan must have been uncertain when he signed off that deal, but he's obviously backed him to go and do it. And then for it to go like this,
Sullivan was probably delighted that we went from a £40 million striker to a £27 million.
Fucking mate, I'm saying for me, if I was the boss, I would be you'd be looking at that going, mate, you fucked up there. That's like that's worse than the fuck up. Like, as far as I'm concerned, it's an insult. Yeah. It's an insult. It really is.
Yeah, it's like if you've got a mate who's always and you go out with him and he's always got a reputation for always being able to pull like really nice birds, and then this night you're out with him, and he just pulls this fucking.
He's had one too many.
He's had one too many, and he ends up going home with a tubby, and he's and you're like, next day you'll be like, fucking hell, mate, you had a mare there, didn't you? Yeah. He's like, what were you thinking?
I know.
He's like, well, fucking, I just needed something. It's just any port in a storm,
I know.
But yeah, the Fullkrug one is shocking, like actually shocking. To the point where, like the Hugel one, you're wondering, like, is there something I don't know here? Is there something I'm missing here with the German connection?
Listen, that had to be corrupt as fuck. I mean, Tim must have got a decent payoff out of that one, because if he is, look, he must be knowledgeable. That to me was I don't see how he can ever have thought that was a good idea, ever. Even if he's his mate, even if he's his mate or something. I don't actually understand for his career how he ever thought that was going to be a good move. Because like I said earlier on, it could never really have paid back. Not unless he turned into a 40, 50 goal a season striker. It was a fucking stupid signing. It was ridiculous. You bought him at 31, not long going to be 32. He ain't getting no better. The fucker's got an injury record parallel with Andy Carroll as well. If you have a look at them on transfer market, some of this isn't a surprise. What's happened with his Achilles, sorry, not Achilles. What's happened with his Achilles is not a surprise because he gets injured, you know?
Yeah.
Lot of mileage.
Yeah, it is just one of those head scratchers.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So I think we've gone through all 9 of them. And obviously it's a mixed bag. But like I say, I think some of them asterisk.
How about if you rate bearing in mind we won the transfer window, Tommy, back in we did. We won the transfer window. That's how we was all talking. I was saying this is brilliant. 1 to 5. How do you rate the transfer window overall?
I think right now, I bought into it. I'll be honest with you.
I did. Yeah,
I bought in a hook, line, and sinker. I'll be honest. Maybe I thought the Fullkrug one was a bit of a head scratcher right from the off, but I thought, okay, look, he's a German international. He did score goals for Dortmund and stuff. So I said, okay, look, maybe he'll prove to be, hit double figures.
Yeah. This
season, and then that'll be all right. That'll be maybe he'll be serviceable. And he'll do well. But yeah, I obviously have to revise it way down. Again, I have to try and weigh up the Lopetegui factor as well. So right now, are we doing 1 to 5 again?
1 to 5. So 5 is amazing. 1 is dog shit.
Yeah, I think at the moment, middle of the road, a 3. I think there are some good signings in there who will prove to be better players than we're seeing at the moment. I think under the right manager.
What about if you throw Lopetegui in? No, you can't do that. Throw Lopetegui in the mix.
Well, it just drops it down to a 1 because that's the most important piece.
So what I'm taking from that is that you've got you don't necessarily think we've done bad business. You think that another manager can probably get a lot more out of these players.
Yeah. So ultimately, I think what I'm saying is I don't think we'll ever get much out of Fullkrug, Guido, or Soler.
Yeah.
Those 3, I don't think we'll ever get much out of them. But look, Soler's a loan player. We paid a few million for him for 2 years. He's on loan. It's not the end of the world if a loan player doesn't work out. Free transfer Guido, again, if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. We haven't lost our shirt, on that transfer either. The only one that we'd kind of lose our shirt on a bit, I think, is the Fullkrug one.
Yeah.
So overall, that's not terribly bad. 1 player really that we might lose our shirt on. I think the other signings still have a lot of potential under a better manager. I think Somerville could be very good for us. I think Todibo could be very good. I think Kilman will be a really decent player.
Yeah.
I think Wan-Bissaka will prove, in the long run under the right manager to be a really solid player for us, really good player. He'll have some games where he'll be good. He'll have other games where he's just blinding.
And I think Guilherme, when you look at all of that, is still a risk worth taking because I think he could come good.
Yeah, again, a player that is very young but also incredibly talented, and with the right mentoring from the right manager, I think could prove, and I think will prove to be a really good signing as well. He's got bundles of talent.
Yeah.
So at the moment, I will say 3 just on the signings. But that could rise with the right manager.
Yeah.
It could go up from 3. But at the moment, I have to be tentative. Because not enough time has elapsed really, and let's say it's been a complete shit show because of the manager so far. So I think 3 is fair at the moment. Middle of the road is fair, I think, for me.
I'm going to go 2, not because of the personnel, but because of the fact that when you're doing a squad rebuild, such as the one that we embarked on in the summer, I think there has to be some sort of common vision. There has to be some sort of common goal. There has to be, what are you working towards? There's got to be some joined up thinking. I don't think there was. We had 3 people buying 3 players each. I think it could turn into a 4, in the long run. But for me, bearing in mind the way that it's been orchestrated, I'm not surprised really now the way it's turned out. I'm going to go 2. I'm going to go 2 at the moment. I don't think we've really addressed some of the issues that we really did need to address, which was midfield and up front. We haven't addressed it. We've addressed right back, and we bought a left winger. So right back and a left winger that we don't use. But the right back that we've bought, we ain't used him as a fucking right back. So the player that we've bought him in to replace is probably better in this system in Soufal. And we've got Somerville who's a backup player. So the midfield's got worse. Up front, we've got worse because Antonio's got older. He ain't getting younger. No, for me, it's a 2. I'm going a 2 on this. I think it's been a shambles.
Yeah, I think the striker situation is glaring.
Yeah.
I know the midfield is bad, but I think the midfield is fixable. Is the only thing. I think up front it's not fixable to me right now. No. Antonio is not the player he was. He'll still give everything, but he's just not the player he was. He's not going to bang in goals for you regularly now. Fullkrug's a disaster. But I think at least in midfield with a good manager, if you could get that motoring, if you get Alvarez in there, and I don't know what this obsession is with 2 DMs. I'll never understand it. In certain games,
it doesn't work
against the top teams. If you're at Anfield, I could understand it. Where you might want to get a second one in there for extra cover. But generally speaking, what's wrong with 4-1-4-1? You know what I mean? If you had, Alvarez there, under the right manager, flat back 4, Alvarez as the DM, ahead of him centrally, you could have Paqueta and Kudus with Somerville left, Bowen right.
There's so much he could do, and he's got so many options. But we did have similar last year with Moyes. Back when obviously a lot of us wanted Kudus has to be a 10. So I've always wanted Paqueta, Kudus, and Alvarez played centrally just once, just to see those 3 in the middle.
It's astonishing that we haven't seen that. Astonishing.
Just once, I feel like you've got everything there. I feel like you've got your midfield destroyer. You've got your deep lying playmaker in Paqueta, who's also a bit of a battler as well. He can ping balls for fun, and then you've got your ball carrier with a bit of pace in there, who's also a bit mercurial in Kudus, who likes to tackle, and he likes to slap people, which is good as well.
Yeah. So that was an interesting one. Really appreciate you coming on, Nick. I won't keep you any longer, or the people, is because basically midnight now.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, but I did want to get your opinion on those, and in the chat as well. I was reading them. There was one mention a minute ago that kind of striker. If you could go back in time now, you would actually bite Coventry's hand off at 20 million for Gyökeres.
Oh, yeah, massively. I'll tell you the other one, Delap as well. What a good signing that was, by the looks of it.
Delap, he looks a player.
He's a good player, yeah. So I wouldn't mind him. I get the impression that Damien Diamico likes Akor Adams. Is it Akor Adams?
You know what? Forgive my ignorance. I don't even get a clue who that is.
I actually don't know who that is. I don't know. I'll take your word for it. I'm sure
both of them, Akor Adams and C. William Dengue or something.
Who the fuck's that?
What a fucking clue.
Are you watching the Belgian league?
I don't know where he's pulled them from, but yeah, maybe they're in Italy. I don't know. Maybe he sees them in Italy.
Maybe.
But I'll have to take your word for it.
The thing is, Calafiori was good in Italy, though. He's shit now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Listen,
much appreciated, Nick.
No worries.
Thanks, mate. And like I said, anytime you need me, you know where to find me. And I'd love to get you on again soon if you can.
Absolutely,
it's not
mate. No,
always possible for you, but
it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. As always, to everyone in the chat, really appreciate you being on. I think we've got a lot of people that jumped across from our stream earlier on your channel to here. I think pretty much everybody knows who you are, Nick, but just in case there's any newbies in the live chat, tell them where to find you.
You can find me on Claret and Booze, a channel called Claret and Booze. Yeah, but yeah, it's all good, mate. I'm not good at promotion. I'm not good.
I know. I've seen your ads for the tea and coffee.
I'm fucking terrible. I'm terrible. Yeah. All right, lovely.
Cheers, mate, and thanks to everyone watching. Enjoy your weekend, and I'm not going to mention Newcastle because fucking hell, that's going to be painful.
We've done that already.
Yeah.
Right. Lovely.
Cheers, boys. Talk to you again.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.